No new
catches
Paladin
your
races in the immediate
Yeah,
future?
this was
Wow.
from one of that producer fella who was doing interviews recently. Yeah, it's production director Michael Bybee.
You say race
Exactly.
restrictions, we say a bunch of, extra animations and artwork to make,
Yeah, that's why
Yep.
Paladins and Druids are the only two classes that can't be, well, the two ones that, outside Deep Hunter Invoker that are limited because they have to make them. And they're like, could we be bothered?
Community. Should art assets or lore limit... I mean, the art assets will limit gameplay because if they're not fucking there, you won't have a...
Yeah, well, the point is, do they just jam in placeholders for the crack? And the answer there is no, because
there's a minimum level of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as they decide that, then you've got a problem, more or less. You've got problems everywhere. It's even the case of like, there's an example I want to use. It's now I'm going to have egg on my face. This turns out to be final, but the Reaper's marked execution thing is just a blue orb spinning around. It's very strange. Anytime you see something that doesn't look like it fits, it actually ruins your experience. And that's the part that I actually feel very strongly about this, believe it or not. And this does. Do I go into this? Fuck, I will. It comes from it. We live. I'll get there eventually.
That's how all good things start.
So
we live in a society.
We
Everyone.
live in a society.
Don't forget.
And inside this society, we have this very strong bias towards like the literal and the real and what we can experience, right? So people kind of forget the whole holisticness of things. People forget that parts of the whole make up something greater. And people are very easy to kind of logic themselves into a position of like, right, well, Dave doesn't give a shit if they do that. Like, you say you don't, but you will. It just won't be obvious.
You say you don't, but you do.
Yeah, you might go, that's
fine. You say you do, but you don't.
Yeah, you might go, that's fine, right? And you might mean that. But the problem is, that will look like shit. And things that look like shit. And you cannot go, well, but the gameplay is good, it doesn't matter. There's some of that. But that has to be part of the whole thing. That can't be, this game looks good, and this looks like shit all of a sudden. It's like, the aesthetics and the form that make up everything are actually a very fundamental part. I remember exactly...
Animations as well. Yeah. Like, that's, I think, one of the things a lot probably won't realize. Animations
they just
are a lot more expensive than, grabbing a, I don't know, Valpera mount and whatever the hell they use and putting some armor on it.
It's also extremely important. Like, here's an example. I find it very hard to play Pandaren Arms Warriors. I always have to go Fury or Prop because it looks stupid as hell when the big, like, around sweeping thing that the Panda female does is done with a two-hander. That, like, they're just like, you've got a two-handed weapon and just been like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm like, what the that doesn't look right. Like, so obviously you might love that if you think it's goofy and silly, but I think it looks a bit, I don't like how it looks, so that's not like an objective quality thing, that's a subjective thing of fantasy. But I think the thing I'm kind of bringing this around to is I think there's a false dichotomy in function over form. People always say function over form or form over function. But realistically, form is a part of something's function. Because that, like, you can't go, well, it doesn't look great, but it does a job. But if it looked great, it would do a better job, is the point here, I think. And it should just be, I think art assets should definitely limit gameplay. Because you probably won't feel it immediately. Or you'll go, oh, it's great. Oh, it's fine, it's wonderful. But there'll be that, like, subconscious bit of this kind of looks a bit shitty. Yeah. This kind of looks a bit shitty. It's the same, like...
If it feels hacked in, then that does ruin the allure of the product you're experiencing. Yeah. It's a bit like...
there's a reason people love Apple products, like...
Even to bring, like, some of old Disney versus new Disney, where they would go to crazy lengths to kind of not break the illusion. There's a reason that works. It's important.
Yeah, there's what's this? People say the devil is in the details, and that's like the opposite version of, that basically means the hard part is in the details because the details are important, and people like say in what's the other phrase? There's the other phrase that I quite like, which is, let me just find it because I don't want to just make shit up for no reason. Even though I do enjoy
on
doing
the
that,
internet.
I'll try not to. What's that phrase? Why would somebody go on the internet and tell lies? Why? Why'd that? Yeah. Obviously, there's the devil's in the details, and there's also God is in the details, which is the idea that divinity and beauty and everything comes from paying attention to the actual every minute every minute detail. Even though it's difficult, you go like every single brushstroke is important in the painting, every single word is important in the book, stuff like that. Which is me just fucking get off on one about how I actually think that art assets are more important than anyone really understands, I think. Because you sit down and talk about it, and you logically come to the conclusion it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, your logic's flawed because we don't operate on logic. Sorry. It's like,
it's just a lot of this is like those are words that just literally don't matter.
Yeah.
They're
just fighting over it, like
they're irrelevant to the core thing, which is this many hours or whatever metric they use.
Yeah.
That is how long it will take. Our producers cannot put it within a timeline. That is why we cannot produce this. That's why it can't happen.
Yeah, production director said
production director
cannot produce this.
Yeah.
Spot on. I'll take your word for it.
And what you want is producers saying no and cutting features so that the game that you get has good features, because generally it'll be the weakest, less important things that will be cut, and that is what will overall prioritize a sustainable development process, which is what World of Warcraft has long needed, given how the game was always, feast or famine in terms of content.
And also, to put this into a different light, it's like they have to do a bunch of extra animation artwork for Valpera Paladin, and you go, all right, sweet. Could you do instead of doing all of that, could you go and do a wave of prettification on half the hero talents, or one of the hero talents, please?
Same animators.
Way better. And way better results. Way better. Because even I don't think they're on the docket to talk about too much.
For goblins can't be. I mean, the skeleton, the Valpera skeleton is the goblin skeleton, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, goblins can't be paladins.
Yeah.
It would be easier to transfer things over, if it is the same skeleton in both.
Yeah. So there was something else I wanted to say about that. Oh yes, it was just on the hero talents thing. We're talking about like what things like look pretty and stuff. The Fatebound rogue, they flip coins and the coins land on head or tails, and that's like the whole point is, do you want to build up streaks of landing on the same one? And you can even game that with your cooldowns with your button press and stuff, so you can you get a buff for the rest of combat, a small buff, if you get 7 in a row on the same side. So you can now you probably won't because you'll want to use your cooldowns and cooldown stuff, but you can get your next 2 to count as both coins if you press your cooldown. So if you roll a streak of 5 and hit your cooldown, you get 7 guaranteed. And the thing that's really cool about the Fatebound isn't this gameplay mechanics, because I'm like, okay, whatever.
Look and feel.
It's the fact that when you use a finisher move, a coin flips out of your character and lands nearby and has a little animation pop up of the heads or the tails. So you can visually watch it happen. So whenever you get an edge case, which is it counts as both, you see the animation of it landing and it shows you like half of the heads and half of the tails, and it's cool as hell. I was like, that just turned from me and I think it was me and Matt sitting in Discord talking about it and going, because he was reading it off Warhead because it's in Alpha. I was like, okay, well that sounds sort of okay, interesting, I'm not quite sure. And then I was like, okay, well I'll open Alpha and check it out because it's here. Streamed it, and then we're like, oh no, this is cool. And the difference was reading the tooltips versus seeing the coin flip in game, and we were like, damn, Like, yeah, it's like the outlaw dice. So if you've got if you're an outlaw doing this fate bound stuff, you're going to be rolling dice and tossing coins all over the place, and it's going to be like people are going to really
Actually,
like
just
People
on
like
the
that.
slots.
Yeah, people are going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
People enjoy the hell out of that stuff.
There you go.